Hello there, and welcome to another Starfield video. So today, as the title says, we're going to be taking a look at all of the powers in Starfield, giving a brief explanation of how you unlock them, and then just showing you how they function. So there's going to be spoilers ahead here, so if you haven't completed the main quest line, or you're kind of new to Starfield and you don't want to be spoiled, obviously it's going to be a lot of spoilers. So anyway, so when it comes to the powers in this game, when you get to a certain point in the main quest line in Starfield, you will access these temples. And you go inside these little temples, and there's these little spinning objects. It's like the device you see, like they put astronauts in them. They also have them in the fairgrounds. There's like it spins on the 3 axes, and it basically looks like that. It spins, and there's these like floating like light sources, and when you put your character's body through it, so when you like touch them, it disappears, and it makes the object in the center spin faster and faster as you touch these objects, up until the point where it basically gets to its maximum speed, and then it stops, and then the circles align, and you walk inside of it, or you float inside of it. It's all 0G, and you get this cool little cutscene / animation. And then you teleport outside the temple, and you unlock your powers. So when it comes to powers, as you can see here, some of the powers will have a number after them, much like with the ships and stuff. And powers, I believe, can go up to 10, so they can go to X. Now, in order to kind of level up a power, each time you complete a new game plus, you find said temples. So in order to get, let's say, all of your powers to 10, you would need to go and pretty much find them all on like 10 new game pluses, which could be a bit tedious. Now there is what's the word? There's some like or one power in particular where I don't believe that's the case. That's this one here. We'll deal with in a minute. But anyway, so yeah, so we're gonna just showcase how they all work and kind of I'll give my opinion on them. So we're gonna start off with the Antigravity field. I have the tier 2 version. As you can see there, it costs 42 power. Now you'll notice with all these, it says your cost and then your total power. So the total power is how much I have. Now I will say, the one kind of thing about this, with the power system in this game, is you're quite limited on how much your total power is. So some abilities, like for instance this one, you can fire off quite a few times, or this one here, whereas other ones like this, you can only fire off once. Now you have your quantum essences down in the bottom, increase the regen speed for 60 seconds. You get quantum essences by killing Starborn entities, which, to be honest with you, the quantum essences should definitely be a lot more than 60 seconds. Bethesda seemed to have kind of completely glanced over like timed effects when it comes to food and stuff like that and buffs. So anyway, so the Antigravity field, it's one of the first powers you get across or come across, and it's associated in the temple ETA or ETA. And as you can see, generate a localized field of intense low gravity and behold upon its true power. So this is kind of one of the ones that are very combat oriented. So we're gonna go check it out. So basically, your character kind of raises their hand, and everything around them gets lifted up into the air. Now we're currently on a planet which has low gravity, as is. Which so we're gonna showcase this. I'm gonna run up to this gentleman here, and we're gonna hit him. And you see, they get thrown straight up in the air, and they're pretty much immobile. This is good for combat situations. I'm gonna really quickly activate this regen faster. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So we're gonna hit another one. As you can see, it's weird. It's obviously the gravity is affecting them, but it's like more than that, because realistically, if you get hit with like, it lifts out of the air with gravity, you could still technically function. And I turned it off. Let's turn it on again. All in all, this is quite a cool ability. When it comes to combat, there's probably better ones you can use, but it certainly is funny to kind of just hit them with it and you see them float. I don't know if it's like they're initially just kind of shocked by the fact that they're being lifted in the air, or if it's more so the fact that yeah, like there's something about it that maybe makes the gravity too light. Obviously, if we use it on enemies like this turret, he ain't going anywhere to be bolted down. But yeah, that was the anti-gravity field. Now we're going to jump on to the next one. All right, so the next power we're going to be focusing on is one that's pretty powerful. This is, if I'm being honest, this is the power I use the most, and that's just me. I don't really fiddle too much with powers in general. But this one is the personal atmosphere. So this one is associated with the Alpha temple / artifact. And the personal atmosphere, oxygen, pure and clean, brought forth to breathe deep and counteract harmful carbon dioxide. So basically, the way this works is it regenerates your oxygen. So we're going to really quickly showcase it. This is really good if you're over encumbered. So see on the left here, I have my oxygen. I'm going to start running. And obviously, I'm on a planet with low gravity, so I'm exerting myself less. We're going to wait for it to get in the red. This is really helpful if you're over encumbered. So you'll notice as the oxygen starts to kind of deplete and the CO2 levels increase, you'll see it go red. There you go. And then we're getting that negative effect of CO2. So if I quickly hit this, bang. And now for like a couple of seconds, I have infinite oxygen. And it refills my oxygen. So yeah, it's pretty much as is. It's probably one of the more basic abilities. Like, it doesn't even do anything flashy. Obviously, you've got a cool little bubble around you. Which, again, it kind of just sets the atmosphere. Now, one thing I will say about this power, which we're going to check. I've never actually tested this. Oh, we're going to wait for it to come back. So I'm going to see if it actually will keep me alive if I take my suit off. We're going to take my helmet off here. And obviously now I'm suffocating. And it works. I have oxygen. I never thought to use this, and that is very cool. Now, I will say it's obviously going to be very limited, because currently I have, I believe, yeah, there we go, we're down. So I have the tier 1 of this. Now, if you were to get it, if you increase the tier of these, a lot of the time what it basically does is reduces the cost. If you were to reduce the cost, it might be more effective, but it's definitely interesting if you wanted to play into the kind of the, you know, I am a Starborn, and you wanted to kind of be like, show your power. There's nothing more badass than walking around in a vacuum with, or in an area with no oxygen, and just be like, yeah, I don't need a helmet because I got powers. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so next we're going to look at the Gravity Wave. So the Gravity Wave, again, this is a 25 power usage. Gravity Wave emits a gravitational force strong enough to propel almost anything or anyone. So this is tied to the beta system, and this is another kind of combat-based one, which we're gonna go check out. Oh, I didn't need to put it on. Whoops. So we'll go check it out. I will say some of the combat ones they're very interesting to use, and I don't use them. If you've ever watched me play, or if you watch any of my live streams or stuff, generally I completely forget about the powers aside from the personal atmosphere. So we've got our first gentleman here, and we're going to hit him with the hello there. Oh, and he goes flying back. Which, obviously, you have to take into account I'm in a low-gravity environment, so this is going to be far more comedic. But yeah, it's definitely gives me kind of Jedi Knight power, or Jedi powers. Knock them off their feet. On harder difficulties, it's going to be more useful. Because it has a lower power consumption, it definitely can be more, basically. And when you hit them with it, hello there, gentlemen. I'm gonna really quickly use one of these. So they take no damage from getting propelled, which you kind of wish that they would take it depending on what they get thrown into. Now it could be the fact that Bethesda, maybe Bethesda, no, that's. I was going to say it could be because it's a low-G planet, but... And then we're going to, just to showcase, like with the other power, you can't knock things that are already kind of stood, like, basically bolted down. All in all, pretty interesting power ability. I could definitely see this being really fun if you're playing a melee character, and, like, there's enemies that are way too far away, or, like, you know, they're not in range, you'd be like, get back. And, yeah. Yeah, that was that one. Now on to the next one. Alright, so this one we're going to be looking at is the Sense Star Stuffs. This is another low-cost power. Bind yourself to the particles of creation, sensing the life force of any human, alien, or starborn. So this can be found at the Chi Temple / artifact location. And generally speaking, this is a very good one for if you want to play a stealth character. So as we get closer to the location, I'm going to activate it, and it works quite similar to the recon scope. I'm pretty sure I want to say it's the exact same as the recon scope. So I'm going to activate it, and you can see, so we can see that character there. And as we get closer, are more going to pop in, or do we have to activate again? Okay, to activate again. As you can see, they're highlighted. Very, very cool effect. Definitely be very useful if you're playing a stealth-related character and you want to see, there's always, where they are. I'm just trying to see, it hasn't spotted the turret. Interesting, because turrets aren't real, technically. Okay, so we have confirmed that robots aren't sentient in Starfield, guys. Which is kind of a bit of an oversight. Because I feel like this is definitely meant to be a combat-related ability in stealth. Like, imagine, like, haha, I'm sneaking. Oh, never mind, it's the turret. Yeah, that's pretty much it. As you can see, the white goes away and it comes back. It's not really much more to say this. It's very much a kind of a stealth-based one. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's on to the next one. So this one we're going to be looking at is Precognition. So, bend time and glimpse the future, seeing the path someone will walk and the words they say. So the main kind of thing with Precognition, obviously, like it said, you can kind of see where people walk, which is kind of interesting, but where it kind of, I feel it's more interesting is seeing what they will say. So, it's 35 power, 60 use, and then you get this in the Iota Temple. Now, I'm gonna show you how it works. So I'm just in doing a quest, and then spoiler. So I'm here at Aquila City, and I'm about to talk to the bank robbers. Now, just to show you, so when I go to talk to this guy, oh, it ran out, lol. 1 second. So when I activate it, you'll see that I can see what they're going to say, which is kind of interesting, but at the same time, it's not really, because in this game, to my knowledge, now I could be drawing a blank, but generally, when it comes to dialogue, like where it has a consequence, the consequence is usually in the persuasion section. So for instance, I can just say, let's get this over with. But see, this is where, like, it's kind of weird. So when it comes to persuade, you would think it would show you, what's going to work, but sadly it doesn't, which is, yeah, it's definitely a bit of a weird one. This ability would be a lot more useful if you could see which persuasion perks would work and which wouldn't. Well, obviously there's the other element, like say for instance if we find someone who wants to walk around this person here and we hit out, you can see now where these guys are going to walk, which is, again, it's interesting. This could pair well with the other power. Let me actually, I say pair well, but I've never actually used two powers at the same time, so we're going to activate both of these. Does it keep one active? Okay, it does, yeah. So this could be very good in a situation where you're trying to sneak and stuff and you want to see the patrol routes. But aside from that, it's a very kind of mid perk. Like, it's definitely interesting if you're kind of role-playing a character that, like, has that precognition and you want to just feel cool about knowing what they're going to say before you say it. But yeah, generally speaking, it's pretty lower on the end of kind of when it comes to perks. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, the next power we're going to look at is Grab Dash. So Grab Dash, manipulate gravity to propel yourself forward and briefly increase any damage you inflict. So it's costs 15 power, and this can be found in the Zeta Temple. Now, this is kind of like the whirlwind sprint of the Starfield universe. I'm going to show you real quick. So the jump is... It's kind of... don't get me wrong, it's definitely cool. But again, as you level it, it will probably be more useful. The thing is, with leveling these kind of perks in general, I'm going to activate a Quantum Essence just to... So with the Quantum Essence, you can definitely kind of float around with it more. And then we're going to really quickly showcase the damage you can do to players or NPCs just to see. Hello. Hit you. That did nothing. Okay. Again. And yeah, okay, so I don't know how the wording is supposed to be, and briefly increase any damage. It's definitely a weird one. It's more interesting as a kind of a... I mean, it's a cool power, don't get me wrong. The distance is quite short. Honestly, this kind of feels more like something your jump pack should be able to do, because I know on PC you have the option to bind to jump forward, which I am on, but I'm playing on controller, so... Yeah, and the other thing, too, is it only is forward. Like, it'd be far more useful if you could dodge sideways or backwards. It would definitely add for more interesting kind of mechanics. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to that one. It's it's not a bad perk. It's a cool looking perk. And if you had the souls to kind of regen, or you had it at tier, like the higher tier, it would definitely be something you could see. I could see yourself using if you're just kind of, you know, running from point A to point B. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so the next one we're going to look at is called Creator's Piece. This is a 25 power ability, and it says, fill your foes with the silent calm of the universe, compelling them to temporarily abandon their weapon. This can be found in the new artifact temple. So basically, it says, as it says, you just kind of, it makes them relax and drop their weapons. So we're going to go to our usual spot, and we're going to try it out. Oops, I mean to do that. I will say, when I started doing these kind of review videos, I just used this area, and in hindsight, it probably would have been more sense to pick one that's not so annoying to navigate. But anyway, so we're just going to run up to some of these enemies, this guy here, and we're going to activate it. Oh, before we activate it, we're going to activate our quantum essence. Hello there. Drop your weapon. Okay, he's contemplating it. Then we've got more here. Activate it. So they get knocked back and they drop their weapon, and then they just kind of run away, which is pretty funny because there's nothing peaceful about what they're doing. You know, I will try again. Like, I'm gonna try on the turret just to see. The turret's not gonna drop its weapon, but maybe it won't fight me. Hello, turret. Okay, no, the turret did. The turret lost interest. But that's kind of cool. Okay. So this is definitely an ability that would be very useful if you're playing a kind of a pacifist playthrough, and you just want to run past things. Really cool. Again, in order for you to use it, because it is quite a, like, it's not an extremely expensive power, but you can only get 2 uses per, you know, per regen. So you need to either level it up, which, to be honest, the way leveling up powers work in this game, like I was explaining, you would have to go through 10 new game pluses. But hell, if you want to steal weapons from people and just do some testing, we're going to really quickly jump, and we're going to see if it works on guards that aren't hostile. All right, so while we are here, while we're here in Aquila, and I will admit it does say enemies, but we're gonna check just to. Hello there, sir. Yeah. Okay. Well, I should have assumed that, but you never know. Just imagine like one character drops their weapon, turns out they're an enemy. But yeah, that was the creator's piece. Now we're gonna check some more combat ones. So yeah, let's jump into that. Alright, so this is the first, like, purely combat one. This is called Solar Flare. Tap into the power of a sun and release a directed orb of searing hot plasma. 25 power. This is found in the Theta artifact temple. So let's go check it out. So, if I remember correctly, this is pretty much like a souped up fireball spell from Elder Scrolls. And if I remember correctly, it's pretty mid. We shall see anyway. We'll do the testing. The one thing about the powers is, unless you're making use of... Yeah, see, there we go. So unless you're making use of the quantum essences, it's definitely not. Like, this guy's level 5. Also, I don't know the intricacies of, like, a sun. I'm using that ability. I mean, yeah, solar flare. I don't know why it looks more like a void. Like, to be honest with you, it just reminds me of the void grenade from Destiny, the vortex. Its damage Like, I don't know what sort of a sun it is, but it's definitely, And again, I'm able to spam this, but only because of the essences. And while essences aren't, they're not extremely hard to come by. You have to, like I said, you have to kill Starborn. 60 seconds is, it's not, you know... If you want to maybe pretend to be a mage, briefly, you could definitely go with it, but, you know, it's... Oops. One of the downsides of the powers is you're both LB and RB on X, or, on controller. And then we're out. So yeah, all in all, it's not the worst power. It's definitely something that would be kind of useful if you want to supplement it with a you know, the combat weapon. Like, you know, hit some enemies with it every so often, but for the most part, you know, you're maybe better off just focusing on your primary weapon or grenades. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so this one we're going to look at is Reactive Shield. Form a shield of pure cosmic light that can weaken and even reflect enemy projectiles. So this is a 35 power, and this can be found in the Tau Temple. So we're going to check that out. This is actually quite a useful one. I made use of it in one of my live stream videos. Again, I'm plugging the live stream, but you know, that's what you got to do as a content creator, up and coming. But yeah, it's pretty much it's like an energy shield in essence. So we're gonna go in third person, and we're gonna activate our essence. So we're gonna deactivate it, and you can see we have that kind of effect around our head. In first person, so as you can see, it's like doing a little bit of reflection damage, but for the most part, it's keeping me alive. I was actually able to crit. That was kind of interesting. And then once it drops, as you can see, it's dropping down now. Activate again. The deflection is very cool, albeit very kind of hard to use. Yeah, let me see about deflecting. I deflected on you. So yeah, so as you can see, the kind of the damage you do back with reflection is kind of on the low range. But it's still pretty useful. Obviously, you have to be facing. So as you see there, I'm facing and I'm taking damage behind, basically. But I get behind all these enemies. I'm pretty much immune to. I'm on fire, but I'm immune to the damage from the front. I don't know if he can punch through it. I mean, I kind of would expect it. Yeah, he can. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's just meant to, you know, it's obviously a forward-facing shield as opposed to covering your entire body. But it's definitely one that's quite useful. Also, you can shoot through it, which is really nice. So this is definitely something I would recommend if you're playing combat on the harder difficulties and you like a bit of a challenge. You know, you're fighting enemies hard-hitting. This is the kind of the perfect one for keeping your survivability up. So now on to the next one. Alright, since we're going to be looking at is Alien Reanimation. So it's 35 power. It can be found in the Phi Temple. So, life gift of the cosmos granted once more to a fallen alien beast so that it may serve thankfully. So basically, it can reanimate aliens to fight for you. So we're going to go down here. And never mind, I broke my leg. And we have some dead aliens here. We're going to hit them with it. Up he gets. And now he serves me. And we're gonna hit this guy a punch. Fight him, my minion. Yeah, get him. So it's I'm gonna see if I can use it on multiple. May I really quickly activate my. I'm assuming you can't kind of summon multiple. Gotta be too broken, but can we? Nope. One per. And it just keeled over and died. Okay, get back up. We're not done yet. God, that's kind of very dark, actually. Resurrecting something to fight for you that you probably brutally murdered. It's definitely like it's a cool I'm gonna kill this one and resurrect it instead. It's a cool ability and one that would be very useful if you're kind of exploring the various like kind of planets. Well, you're like a different color. That's really cool. But yeah. All in all, I can't really fault it. If you're in a combat situation and you have like aliens around, it's definitely one to kind of, you know, make use of. Yeah, now on to the next one. Alright, so the next one we're looking at is Void Form. Channel the very darkness of space, rendering yourself nearly invisible to those around you. 45 power, and this can be found in the Omicron artifact temple. So this is pretty much an invis. It's invisibility. And again, would be very useful for stealth. I'm going to activate it real quick, and we're going to see how good it is. Now, the fact that it's kind of worded where, like, renders you invisible for most things, we're going to see. So we're going to activate it. And now I'm invis. Let me see. I guess they can probably still hear me. So I'm currently hidden. This guy can't see me. Oh. Okay, so they know I'm here because they can hear me, but they can't see me. Oh, now they can see me. Let me actually see what happens if I'm standing directly in front of them. Well, me. Oh. But is that because I'm on fire that they can see me? Or... Okay, see, they've actually lost interest in him, or lost aggro on me. Pretty interesting. Even though I'm bleeding. So again, this is another stealth-based ability. If you're looking to kind of be a sneaky character, you have that invis. It also would be very good for if you're trying to steal stuff from vendors, just because, you know, you can't put buckets on their heads anymore, I don't think. But yeah, anyway, that is that one. Now on to the next one. Alright, so the one we're going to look at now is Parallel Self. So, summon another version of you from an alternate dimension for a duration. 45 power. Now, this is associated, or it's basically in the Sigma Temple, but it's associated with Barrett. So, Barrett is one of the NPC characters in the game, and in order to get this, you have to complete his quest line, and then he will give you the power. Now, I believe... and if anyone in the comments want to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you can only initially get this power in your very first playthrough. If you miss it, I don't think you can get it again, even though New Game Plus 1 will basically give you an alternate version where you're still able to do all those kind of companion quest lines. But I know for myself, I missed it the first time around, and I obviously just used console commands to spawn it in. But it's quite an interesting quest line with it, because the kind of like, I would recommend like doing it, just because there's cool implications to like potential DLC and stuff, just the way it is. So yeah, basically like it says, summons an alternate version of yourself. We're gonna go try that out. So we're gonna... Hello, me. I look sexy. Let's go, me. We're going on an adventure. So, that's actually really cool. Like I said, I've never used this ability because I missed out on it with Barrett, and I tried my very hardest on my second playthrough to unlock it. So we're going to really quickly activate one of these, just spawn another one, because he's probably going to despawn. So we're going to run up to this guy, spawn me, and let him fight. Aha! Get him, me! Fair enough. I will say, this is probably the most powerful combat ability in the game, just because he's going to have the weapon I have. Now, currently I don't have a very fancy weapon because this character is just set up for reviewing just generic weapons, but he has a breach. Now, the only downside is one of the things you'll notice about NPCs. NPCs generally will behave very defensively, like taking cover. But he's falling up here. Get him. Get him. Get him. No, you're panicking. Don't panic. You don't need to be an accurate representation of myself, okay? I panic enough as it is. But yeah, all in all, very, very cool ability. It lasts a decent amount, but doesn't last as long as I would like. As you increase it, Did I just die? Yeah, apparently he just died. As you kind of level, it increases. I love how he comes out swinging. But yeah, like I said, this is one of the best, if not the best, abilities in the game. I would even put it above Personal Atmosphere. The only thing is, like I said, is a lot of people will miss this ability because, because it's tied to Barrett. But anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so this one now is, we're going to look at his moon form. Channel the energy of Luna, Earth's beautiful moon, to be as unmoving and resilient as stone. So basically what this does is it makes you super tanky. Cost 35, power 60. And yeah, this one it's an interesting one. It's one that, like, when you look at how it's worded, you're like, okay, I don't know how useful that is being. This is going to be my first time testing it. It's probably going to be a little bit better than It's probably going to be like a little bit better than like the shield. The only downsides are probably going to be really slow. So Moonform, to double check, Moonform can be found in Temple Row or RHO. We're going to really quickly activate it, and we're going to go and see how tanky it makes me. Like, I am playing on very hard difficulty currently, just for kind of future, or not future reference, but for reference. So, whoops, wrong button. To grab a quick auto save. And yeah, let's just stand up here and see how it goes. So, activate it. And, oh, I am stuck. Okay. So I cannot move, and I have a cool effect on me, and as you can see, I am pretty tanky now. So I'm just going to stand here like normal, let them shoot me. I do have perks that basically make me regen, but as you can see, on very hard difficulty with a set of armor, we activate Moonstone again, and yeah, this is definitely something that, like I said, I haven't really used it at all. But I could definitely see this being useful in a situation where if you're low on health, you can proc it just to kind of, you know, get your some extra survivability. Now the cost of it, like I was saying, the cost of it, 35, it's very kind of pricey, and obviously if you level it up, you know, the higher tier, it's going to be more useful because it's going to have a higher duration and stuff. But yeah, that's Moonform. Pretty interesting ability. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so next we're going to look at is Supernova. So, Supernova, it is not a Comic-Con convention in Australia, as much as my dear friend Flippy likes to tell me. So, cosmic energy explodes around you with the terrible force of a dying star. 45 power. This can be found in the XI, or the Xi, I don't know how you pronounce that, temple. And yeah, this is one of those powers where, like, is you'll activate it once because you'll be like, I wonder what this does, and like you will blow up around you, and everyone's like, what did you just do? How dare you? So we're just gonna run into some enemies and blow up, I guess. Hello there, gentlemen. Oh, I forgot to activate. Activating would be useful. Hello. As you can see, that he died very quickly. We'll hit another one. So it does a fair amount of damage. Now you have to kind of proc it a few times to like try to kill people. Come on. Hold on. Bye. There we go. So there appears to be a bit of a like an overall cooldown. Oh, no, there's not. So it does a decent amount of damage. Now, when they say a dying star, this guy's level 34. I'm going to activate it. It takes maybe 3 attempts. I don't know if it's just the Equiptics have got some god tier armor. But it's, again, this is it's a combat ability, and it's not a bad combat ability. Let me just activate another not a bad combat ability. It could be definitely useful if you're on board a ship where you want to basically blow stuff up. But aside from that, there's probably kind of better ones, you know, like some of the more kind of would affect anything around. Oh yeah, it does. Okay, never mind. Do not pull this out on a ship. You will probably crash your game if you're on console. I know my Xbox would probably start wheezing if I was to hit that and everything inside my ship went. Yeah. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so this we're going to look at is called Elemental Pull. And elements, the true treasure of planets and moons, are drawn to your being. 25 powers. This can be found in the PSI or the Psi system. This is a pretty straightforward one. It just basically pulls objects to us. So as you can see here, we've got some copper. We hit it. Give me that copper. Hell yeah. Any more we can check? Let me look. This is very handy if you don't have, your mining laser. And I probably would prefer this to the mining laser just because of the usefulness of it. It's very cool. Now, the cooldown on it, like I said, the cooldown is 25. It's not too bad. It definitely kind of would benefit more from just kind of leveling. What is that? Some water. Will it pull water? Let me just activate. See, will it pull water? Probably. Water's a mineral, right? It does pull water. Okay, well, that's kind of cool. Didn't think it would, but yeah. So this is basically if you want to, like, you know, you went into Starborn, became a Starborn just because you didn't want to use your tools. You wanted to be like a magician, just pulling things. Very, very cool. You could definitely run around like an area that's like got a lot of resources and just start spamming it, as you can see. Yeah, all in all, very, very useful kind of ability for if you're mining. On to the next one. Alright, so the next one we're going to look at is Sunless Space. So Sunless Space can be found in the Temple Kappa. So Sunless Space, introduce your enemies to the colds of space, freezing them in their tracks. 35 power, which, again, it's kind of expensive. We shall see how good the freezing them in their place is. Considering we have a couple of abilities, like currently we have the gravity one where you knock them back. And then you have the one where you lift them with the gravity pull, or the gravity kind of well. So this one, unless it, I'm assuming it's going to be very singular. You just freeze one single entity. Hello. Okay, yep. Oh yeah, he cold. Interesting. So we'll, does this work on turrets? It does not, but it actually does damage to turrets, which is interesting. We're gonna hit these, so we've got some frozy boys. It seems like there's no limit on how many people you can freeze. We're just gonna see how long they stay frozen for. Listen, the effect looks cool. It looks like they're in stasis. Okay, so it doesn't last too long. And then obviously they have to fall over. So it's, again, it's a cool ability. I could see this being more useful if you're a melee character. Yeah, just be like, haha, frozen, and then you just stab, stab, stab. It is cool that it does a little bit of damage. Let's see if I can snipe with it. Let me, deactivate, regen. Okay, so it does, yeah, it does a little bit of damage. So you could technically use it for damaging enemies, but it's a bit... Oh, no, not a bad ability. Definitely more niche, but some people could get uses out of it, you know, depending on your playstyle. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so this one is the Life Force. Transfer the very life force of an enemy, harming them while healing you. This costs 25 power, and this can be found in the Pi temple. So let's try this out. So again, this is probably just going to be like a heal over time. When it comes to the abilities that you can utilize to keep yourself alive longer in combat, this is probably going to be maybe one akin to if you're a melee character. Just because it can be, you know, tricky trying to keep your health up. So we're going to hit this guy. Missed. There we go. As you can see, it's like slowly ticking away at him while also healing me. Will it have? Is it going to kill him outright? Okay, it kills him outright. Let's find a higher level character. Because level 34 will hit him with it. Okay, so the damage seems to be pretty decent. Like, it's not amazing. But it's, as you can see, it's not going to keep me alive. I'm going to have to stim, which I did stim there. So it definitely won't keep you alive when you're getting completely devastated. But if you're having like a 1v1, which, did I not activate my thing? If you're having like a 1v1, it would be more useful. Just because usually like one NPC is not going to be able to put out enough damage to... But yeah. Again, it's not a bad ability, but like I would probably be more inclined to use the Reactive Shield for survivability, or the Moon Form if you're looking for like true survivability. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so this one we're going to look at is Earthbound. So Earth, the cradle of humanity, shares its gravity in an area of your choosing. So this basically just makes it so that the gravity well is going to be that of Earth, which could be useful if you're in a situation like me, where you're basically, where, yeah, you're basically like, oh, we're on a planet. This can be found in the Epsilon Temple. So currently, like I said, we are on a 0.2G world. We jump real quick to showcase, yes, this is very, yes. We activate it. And we're on Earth, which is very cool. It shows that we're using 1G, which is, again, very useful. Oh, we just, did we move outside of the radius? Okay, no, so it just... So, the thing is with a lot of these powers, I will say, is they don't last very long. And obviously, as you level them up, they can last long. But I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like if you go through the trouble of leveling them up, by that point, you're probably like, I don't want to ever see powers again. But I will say, this is a pretty useful power in situations where you board ships and you've disabled the grav drive, or the reactor, where basically their gravity is not working. This can be useful if you're not a fan of the 0G combat. But yeah, all in all, it's not a bad power. Alright, so the next one we're going to look at is the Inner Demon. Tap into the endless multiverse and summon forth a friendly duplicate of an unfriendly foe. 35 again, and this can be found in the Upsilon region. So this, again, this is a very combat-heavy one, and it's quite an interesting one. So we're going to just really quickly showcase it in combat. It basically works similar to kind of cloning yourself. Instead of cloning yourself, it clones an enemy. This is, if you're going to use a combat-related power that's like an offensive, this is probably going to be one of your best ones, because you can effectively turn enemies against themselves. So we're going to really quickly, we're going to target you, Mr. Eclipse. Oh, I did. Aha, get him. Get him. Now, obviously, depending on the level of the character, that guy's pretty low level. We're going to try this level. Knock it out. We have level 42 guy, who's obviously more useful. But in a situation like this, where he's kind of surrounded, it can be a bit tricky. Although if you were doing a combat situation where you came across a bot, or a boss, not a bot, I'm just going to test to see if we can use it on the turret. Probably not. Let me really quickly activate. Okay, it didn't spawn a turret, which is kind of sad. Let's spawn another one over there. So yeah, all in all, it's a pretty cool ability. The one thing I would say is I kind of wish it would, like, the enemy wouldn't be highlighted in red, just so you know, like, that's my friendly. Because if I'm, like, you know, like, trying to get stuff done, I'm like, oh, it's an enemy, and I end up killing it. And fell over. So yeah, like, it's, again, really good ability. It's not as powerful as the one you get off Barret, the kind of the spawning a version of yourself. But obviously this one's a lot easier to get because it's not tied to basically a specific quest line. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Alright, so the next one we're going to look at is the Gravity Well. Generate a focal point of crushing gravity that draws in anyone caught in its field. This can be found in the Delta Temple. So, yeah, it's, again, this is probably going to be a combat. I haven't used this. This is my first time using it, but again, this is going to be a combat-related one. It's going to be interesting to see what it means by crushing. I'm assuming it's just going to mean they're going to fall on the ground and be, you know, stun-locked, which... It seems like a lot of powers kind of revolve around, oh, you're stunned, haha. Get paralyzed. Mr. Todd Howard is like rolling in the... Okay, so, okay, it's hurting him a little bit. Now, damage is minuscule. What if I shoot him? Oh, obviously if I shoot him, he dies. That was a stupid question. I was gonna more so, would my bullet be propelled? So we're gonna, really quickly, we're gonna hit them again, just to see. This is a very expensive power. I like... Okay. Would have been cool if you could shoot. It would like kind of pull the... I mean, it does pull the object into it, which is very cool. So if you're very bad at aiming with grenades, you can kind of pop this down and just chuck some nades in it. As for the damage, like, either this guy is like the Hulk and could survive the extremities of, yeah, like the kind of the weight of it. Again, it's probably one of the lesser useful combat abilities. If you're going with that route of kind of stunning people, you're better off with the one where you can knock them into the air with the gravity one. Or the one where you just kind of lift everyone and you feel more like a Jedi. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so this time we're going to be taking a look at the Create Vacuum ability. So 25 power. Oxygen fuel if humanity is withdrawn from a localized area at your command. This can be found in the Gamma Temple. So we're gonna highlight it again. We're on a planet which has oxygen. So as I break my leg real quick, we're gonna just run over and we're gonna hit one of these enemies with it, and we're gonna see if they take some damage over time. They should realistically, because as you can see, they're taking damage over time. Everything inside the bubble. Oh, they're trying to retreat from the bubble. That's actually quite cool. Oh, we got a little you. I'm gonna hit you with one. Hello. So everything inside the bubble is taking damage over time. I'm gonna actually take off my helmet just to showcase that that's probably gonna hurt me too. So, interestingly, it doesn't affect me, but it affects everyone else. It's definitely a cool ability. It's kind of an interesting one for combat. It does decent damage over time, I will say. Again, the thing with all these powers is the cooldown and like the regen, just the length of how useful they are. It kind of like messes with them. Like you have to use either the essences or have it at max level. But like I feel like if you have it at max level, you're just gonna be like, oh, powers, why? Yeah, all in all, this is probably one of the better damage over time ability powers. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so now we're looking at the phased time. So time itself is yours to manipulate as you slow the world and all those in it. This is a 45 power. This can be found in the Mu Temple. So this is a pretty cool one because in combat, it slows down time so that you can do some cool kind of Matrix sort of stuff. So we're going to run in here and we're going to use it. This is also very useful if you want to do a little fun little technique where if you want to steal some specific ships, like the Guardian ships, if you activate this before they exit, you can basically steal the ship, which is very cool. So we're going to run to the center here and we're going to activate it. Haha! And now you see they're all reacting really slow. Our character moves slow, but not extremely slow. And you can... Now obviously everything everything behaves how it should, like guns and stuff. You can't like rapid fire with guns. You're not like that one guy from the X-Men. What is the guy? The guy who plays the guy in American Horror Story, the blonde guy. I think he's blonde. But yeah, like it's very useful. The only thing again, the time on how long it stays up is really slow. Really fast rather. It doesn't last very long. Obviously leveling can improve that, but it's a bit annoying that you have to kind of level it. We'll say the effects are really cool though because it's like slow motion. You can see like the bullets. So yeah, all in all, it's not a bad ability. I could see this being more useful if you're playing that sort of character who's like, you know, like the Deadeye, the gunslinger. It's kind of like your poor man's Vass. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so next on the list is the Eternal Harvest. So, what has blossomed will bloom once more, ripe for picking. This is a 25 ability, and it can be found in the Lambda Temple. This one's it's a pretty simple one. So basically, any of the flora on planets, like say for instance this thing, we're gonna harvest it, and we hit it, and we can harvest it again. Hit it, and we can harvest it again. Very useful for if you're basically... Ooh, wrong button. Very useful if you're trying to farm, like, say, certain resources. So we're going to activate an essence real quick. And we're just going to spam it. Live plant. Yep, so you can basically spam if you found a plant. That's very useful. Again, it's a really good farming ability. It's definitely not a combat-based ability, but it's very useful for if you're trying to farm certain resources. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so the last power we're going to look at is the Particle Beam. Now, this can be found in the Omega Temple. So, emit a powerful ray of cosmic energy, dealing terrifying damage to a single target. Now, it's quite a low power. It only uses 15, so we're going to go try it out. Now, I will say the wording... Bethesda could work on some of the wording, because it's terrifying. I'm expecting this thing to one-shot, but... realistically, it's probably going to do, like... 1/5 of the damage to the lowest level enemy, so let's go try it out. Obviously, if you're playing on lower difficulty, a lot of these powers will be kind of more useful. Hello, Mr. Ecliptic. Let me hit you with my... Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. I mean, it's very fun hitting enemies with it. But the damage is very... So give me one moment. Alright, so we have I did a little console command. I increased my particle beam to 10 just to see how it performs. See if it is really worth it. So we've got some... Look for another enemy. Hello, you're level 18. Okay, so that does significantly more damage. To the point where it would be far more viable in combat. Now the only downside to this is if you do plan on leveling this to 10 or any of your powers to 10, you will have to go through 10 new game plus playthroughs of the game, and you will have to find the temples. Now, it's not necessarily difficult to do, it's just going to be tedious. Just because having to basically rerun through the kind of the temples and stuff can be a bit tricky. Not to mention, there is certain quests that like you have to basically do to unlock certain artifacts or before it. So yeah, all in all, that was it. That was covering all the artifacts. Let me know what you guys think. Like, what powers are your favorite? I know some people are kind of like indifferent to the power system when it comes to Starfield. I personally don't mind them. Coming into the game, I wasn't really expecting them to go with a power like a like a magic system basically. And while I think some of them are very useful, ultimately the only power I really use is my good old-fashioned personal atmosphere. But obviously, then I'm very when I play, I don't tend to play with sneak or stuff like that, so it's not really for me. So yeah, let me know if any powers you guys use. And yeah, 'cause I know recently we had in the Discord one of the guys, Nomad. He's a very good builder. He recently put a picture that he basically got through he got all of his powers level 10. And I was like, oh my god. Like, I like the game, don't get me wrong, I definitely enjoy playing it, but I feel like if I was to speedrun to unlock all of the powers, after speedrunning, at that point, I would be like, yeah, no, we're good, no more powers. Aside from that, the only thing I will kind of say before I finish it off is, while a lot of the powers are very cool, it is a bit silly that you have to basically get to tier 10 to make them viable. Like, some of the powers, like the ones that last for like a certain amount of time, they should definitely increase the base of how long they last. Like, powers from the get-go should be very OP, like you're supposed to be the Starborn entity. Like, imagine like summoning an ability and you hit a guy and it just tickles them, it's a bit of a weird one. But again, it depends heavily on the difficulty you're playing, and obviously if you're playing on a lower difficulty, you'll do more damage. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. It's going to be a longer one, just because, yeah. But this, yeah, it's been interesting. I will say it's been interesting looking at some of these powers, because, like I said, there's a lot of powers I kind of just glance over and like, oh, that's cool. Anyway, back to my personal atmosphere. But yeah, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this sort of content. And